Now these 5 editing mistakes makes people's photos look very, very amateurish. And the truth is that I've seen it everywhere. And the best part is, I've also been there. Hi, my name is Carbell Sarfo. I've been shooting many events, editing photos for over 5 years now, and then I've built up so much experience doing this. And today I'm going to share with you 5 editing mistakes that makes your photos look amateur. I'm saying this because I've been there, I've made these mistakes, and I've learned so much, and I've come a long way. And I want to share with you just these 5 things that if you can avoid, are going to make your pictures look much better. And without much ado, guys, let's just jump straight into the video. Mistake number 1 is what I call oversaturation. Saturation is just talking about colors and how much of the colors are in the photo. If you take a photo like this, all right, this photo looks great. I mean, it looks perfect. I'm yet to edit this, but I've already edited a couple of them. Let me just open to one that I've already edited. Let me copy the settings from here, and I'm going to bring the settings right here, and I'm going to show you something that you should pay attention to. If you look at this photo, all right, and then I paste my settings on here. Now this photo looks great. All right, but people want a certain level of pop. They want their pictures to pop and be in the eyes of people, and they think the way to go about this is by using saturation. If you look at this photo here, you can even see that my saturation here is actually even on the -7 here, because I tend to bring down the saturation a lot in my photos. The mistake people do is that they just tend to pull up the saturation. They're just thinking that that's what is going to give the picture the pop. And yes, it does. If you look at the before and after, you can see that this is very saturated compared to what it was initially, which is here. Alright, and there's nothing wrong with it. What I would advise is, instead of pushing out the saturation, use the vibrance. What vibrance does is that it tries to it adds more color to your photo, but then it does it in a way that it protects your skin tones. And then also it looks at the photo and it tries to bring up the colors of those that are quite on the lower end. So for instance, if you take up vibrance up like this, you realize that the picture is actually getting colorful, but then the skin is much more protected, and the greens and yellows in the back go very bright, as compared to if I took up the saturation instead, which doesn't even give any respect to the skin. Instead of using saturation to make your colors more say pop, I would advise that you use vibrance. Mistake number 2, too much contrast. I repeat, too much contrast. Once again, there's nothing wrong with contrast. I just say this because when I started photography, I would literally add a lot of contrast. This is my contrast at the moment. You can see that -11. I realized that I was adding so much contrast to my images. And the thing about contrast is that if you take up contrast higher, it darkens the darker side of the image, and then it brightens the lighter side of the image. So if you have an image that like for something like this, if I start taking the contrast up, watch what happens. You realize that the darker sides get very dark, and then the lighter sides get very light. And there's nothing wrong with this. Just that, look, this doesn't make your pictures look professional. It just makes you look all amateurish, right? So what I would advise that, like, go very easy on the contrast. The thing was that I would usually even take the contrast down in the beginning, just to get a little more flatter image at the beginning to work with, and then choose the particular colors that I want to play with and the colors that I want to bring out in my image. Mistake number 3, too much vignetting. Right, vignetting is great, right? It means you have these dark shadows around your image, and what that does is that it draws attention towards the center of the image, usually where you tend to have your subject. But what beginners and amateurs do is that they apply too much of it. It's like for every image that they have to apply some level of vignetting. For every image that they have to apply some level of vignetting. And you know, if you tend to have a gallery, you realize that your picture starts to look very the same way, not in a good way, but in a bad way. What would I say? I would say you apply it as and when you need it. All right. So for this image like this, there is no way I'm going to apply vignetting. Why do I say that? Because literally, if you look at the composition, he is literally in the middle of the image in a white, clearly the first thing your eye goes to. I would apply some level of vignetting if let me say the image that I have here has so much going on in the background, and even that one, it will depend on what I'm trying to send out there. But my advice is that you go very easy with the vignetting. You can use masks, but use them sparingly. Don't use them, don't abuse them so much, and go very easy. And I promise you that your pictures are going to look way better. Yes, I use vignetting. It's actually, this image has some level of vignetting around it. You can see the darkness around it. If I show you the before, you see the before, everything looks just flat, but you can see that after I have some level of vignetting at the lower side here. You can see, just to draw your attention to the center, but please use them very sparingly. Mistake number 4, ignoring white balance. I can't stress how important this is. I honestly, I can't. You know, I had a masterclass once for a team, and when we started the Lightroom editing, the very first thing I started teaching was white balance. Because if you don't get the white balance right, your images, the colors just shift to a different spectrum, I promise you. And every time I try to nail the white balance right from the beginning before I even do anything. If I can nail it in the camera while I'm shooting, great. But if not, when I come to my editing app, I have to try and nail it as quickly as possible. Let me show you what happens if you have the white balance wrong. Say I take this tool here and I pick on the, say, the white here. You realize that the white balance is actually on the, it's still correct, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But the moment I pick this and I go and say take the wrong location, you see, just look at how the whole colors have just shifted just because the white balance is on the wrong end. All right, and the same thing happens if I take it to the other end here. Like, if you don't know the white balance, even if I bring it back to where it used to be, which is here, all right, you realize that the image, the colors are just all the way off. And that is the important thing about white balance. If you don't know your white balance, all your colors are just going to be off. And right now, it's giving me this greenish vibe. But I'll pick something gray, something neutral, something around, say, here. Let's actually pick a darker place. You see? If you don't know your white balance, you are in so much trouble. All right. So this is the before and this is the after. Now this white balance is way much better. I think I'll put in some of this, the magenta in there, and yeah, I'll keep that one there. Yeah, and this should do. Mistake number 5 is what I call over sharpening. You know, sharpening is a great thing. You know, it makes your pictures appear, say, much sharper and much crispier, which is a good thing depending on the look that you are going for. But you have to sharpen when you're exporting. You know, if you're exporting, like I'm bringing up my export settings here, you know, whoop, what did I just do? Okay, yeah, JPEG quality 80. All right, I want to output sharpening. Like, you want to sharpen when you are exporting, not when you are editing. Because if you sharpen whilst you are editing, you are going to create this dangerous looking what's the name, halos and lines around some of the edges, and it doesn't make your images look professional at all. Don't sharpen when you're editing, but sharpen when you're exporting, which usually you have there when you're exporting. You're exporting when it says sharpen for, then you choose screen, whatever you want the name to be. Which of these 5 mistakes are you guilty of doing? Let us know in the comment section below. But if you click right here, you're going to see a video that I teach you how to edit like a pro right here in Lightroom. So click on it. Catch you in the next one. Peace.